Are you ready for the shrinking of employee tenure? Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of The Future in 5. My name is Jacob Morgan, and this is where I share my thoughts, ideas, and commentary on the future of work in 5 minutes or less. So, there used to be a time where you would go work for an organization and you would stay there for 10, 15, 20, 30, 40 plus years. You would get pension, they'd take care of you, they'd take care of your family. You pretty much had this long-term relationship with an organization. That is completely and utterly dead. I think this idea of job security is also way long gone. The average employee tenure across the board, regardless of how old you are, is just under 5 years. For millennial, it's just under 3 years. So it gives you an idea of how that number is shrinking and shrinking and shrinking. So we're clearly in a very, very different landscape today than we were several decades ago. And so a lot of organizations are trying to figure out, well, what does this mean for us? What should we be thinking about? What should we be doing? In fact, in the past couple of weeks, I've met with several executives in the Bay Area that tell me they're giving their employees everything. Perks, equity in the company, latest equipment, catered lunches and dinners and breakfasts and foosball tables, dry clean, and they still can't keep these employees staying at their company for a long time. In fact, PayScale recently did a report where they looked at the average employee tenure for a lot of the Fortune 500 companies. And if you look at organizations like Google and Amazon and Apple, even these organizations don't have very high employee tenure. I think at Google, the average was just around a year. At Apple, I think it was around 1.2 or 1.8 years, and the same for Amazon as well. So even these companies that are offering all these amazing and great things, it's still a challenge for them. So what do we do as an organization? What do we do to combat this? I think there are two things. There are two sort of paths that I'm seeing organizations go down. The first is trying to figure out how to keep employees there. In other words, what should we be offering them so that they want to stay with us longer? Flexible work, we're going to listen to employees, we're going to give them cool perks and benefits, we're going to give them equity in the company. What sort of things can we give employees to make them want to stay here? What kind of an environment can we create? What type of corporate culture can we develop so that our employees do not want to leave? And that's fine. That's one approach that certainly works well for some companies. The second approach, and one that I think has more long-term practical value, is for organizations understanding that employee tenure is shrinking. It's never going to go back to the way it used to be. And with that mentality and with that knowledge that employee tenure is shrinking, we change the way that we structure work within our companies. In other words, we don't focus on long-term career path and development. We don't focus on 5 and 10-year plans. We focus on projects. We focus on tasks. These are things that might be a couple months. It might be a year, but no more sort of long, drawn-out deliverables and deadlines and projects. Because I think that type of mentality, that form of long-term thinking is not really going to work for a lot of these companies. And so I think that is a more practical approach that companies are taking. Now, I know this ties very much into freelancers, and I'm going to leave that topic for another video because I have a lot I want to say about freelancers. But some companies are creating their own type of, I don't want to call them freelance networks, but their own type of marketplaces within their organization. So look at Valve, which is a very popular gaming company. They created games like Half-Life and Counter-Strike. At an organization like Valve, you have the opportunity within the company to see all the projects that are available. And you pick which project you want to go be a part of. Once that project is done, you have the option to go join another project or another team. And again, you have complete visibility into everything that the organization is working on, and you have the opportunity to jump and move from project to project, task to task, team to team. Not only that, but if you have an idea for a project or something that you want to get done, you can do it. It's your responsibility to build the team, and it's your responsibility to sort of get the approvals and run with that project. So if you have an idea, you can make that happen, but again, you kind of act like a little mini CEO. And I think that type of environment is certainly very interesting and one that we're going to see more of. So those are my two thoughts on the topic. I think that the more practical, scalable approach, and I know there's a lot more that I can say about this, but I'm already 4 minutes and 40 seconds. I don't want to blab on too much, but I will talk about this topic much more in the future. So I think the more practical, scalable approach is mentality of employee tenure is shrinking. We need to change the way that we think about work. We need to restructure the way that we work, focus on shorter term projects and tasks, and shift away from that kind of long-term mentality of you're going to be here for 5, 10, 15, 20 years. Again, the second thing, there are some companies such as Spiceworks, such as F5 Networks, such as MuleSoft, all of whom I've done podcasts with, and you can see and listen to what their CEOs say they've done as far as creating a great corporate culture to get people to stay there. They do interesting perks. They do things like, openness and transparency and listening to the voice of the employee, stuff like that. So you can check out those podcasts and listen to what they're doing. So ultimately, those are the two paths I think we can take. Shorter term projects and tasks, I think, is more practical and scalable and more favorable for long term. But I still think we also need this other approach of listening to the voice of the employee. So having said that, let's all acknowledge that employee tenure is shrinking and that we're going to see some massive changes around how we structure and how we think about work. Curious to hear what you think. Leave me a comment and we can talk about this further, and I'll do more videos on this topic because I know it's a very interesting topic, a very hot topic among a lot of companies. If you want to get access to more of these videos and if you want to check out the podcast that I mentioned, visit thefutureorganization.com. There is a podcast button. There's also a Future in 5 button. One will take you to the videos. One will take you to the podcast. Very self-explanatory. And of course, if you work for a large organization and you're interested in connecting with some of the world's most forward-thinking companies out there, you can visit the FOW community at fowcommunity.com, request an invite to join, and hopefully you will be able to join this network that we created. So, having said that, I will see you next time on another episode of The Future in 5, and let me know what you think. Employee tenure is shrinking. What are we going to do? Hey, are you interested in the future of work? If so, make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel so you can get all the latest content on the future of work and stay up to date on all the latest trends and happenings. Not to mention, you will make me very, very happy. Make sure to subscribe.